boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday school and Dhamma classes, parents, grandparents, and teachers of Buddhist Sunday school and Dhamma classes. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful. We are going to have a presentation that tells the story of Buddha Gautama and the fierce and drunk elephant. Now, this is an interesting episode in the life of the Buddha. We have actually given a short account when we did the life history of the Buddha, but now we are going to just focus on this incident and then to reflect on the Dharma. Now, the presentation has the text in English and Chinese. The Chinese was done using Google Translate, so it might not be 100% accurate, but it will give a fairly good idea for those who are not so confident with English. And we have the pictures accompanying, so this will help you to understand better the story. Now, as usual, we will launch the PowerPoint and then go over the slides, explain the story, and then, most important, towards the end, we will have the Dhamma reflection. So now let us have the slideshow from the beginning. So now you see the cover slide, which is quite interesting, that you see actually the Buddha with the group of monks going on arms round, and there's this elephant. And the title I put as Buddha and the Mad Drunk Elephant. Now you can also consider the title as Buddha and the fierce, intoxicated elephant or drunken elephant. Now, mad, it could mean that he was crazy after being intoxicated, right? And maybe he was a very fierce elephant. And some people, use the word, he is mad lah, but actually he's not having a mental illness lah. So that's the use of the word. Now, here, of course, you see the elephant and then the Buddha image. Now, let us go on to the next one, which is number 2. Slide 2. Now, it starts the story as follows. Gautama Buddha had a cursor named Devadatta, who was extremely jealous of the Buddha. Now, we have here some pictures to show you. Actually, Devadatta was a monk, actually. Right? He was the disciple monk of the Buddha. So he actually renounced very early, and he also practiced and had psychic powers. But later on, you would see, because of the strong ego, the big ego, so his character turned for the worse. So this Devadatta, he wanted to take the place of the Buddha as the leader of the Sangha when the Buddha was getting old. Now, maybe the Buddha was maybe 70 years old or something like that. And then he said that, Bhagawa, oh my Lord, it's time that you step down. You are getting old, and I should take the place, because he was quite a senior monk. But actually, he was greedy for power, and his character had turned for the worse already. He was a friend of the King Ajasattu during that time in the kingdom. And the king respected him a lot because he could show the psychic powers. But he was not a good monk. At first, he was all right. Later on, he became a bad monk, you could say, right? So then the Buddha knew that he was not the right person. And the Buddha sort of rebuked him, right? Say that, No, I did not even ask my chief monks, Monggalana, Venerable Monggalana, and Venerable Sariputta to be the leader of this Sangha. And who do you think you are? Actually, the Buddha gave him a scolding because of his egoistic ways. And for that, he was very, very angry with the Buddha. And he wanted to take revenge. So, now let us see what is going to happen. Now, see the third picture shows the monk Devadatta asking the Buddha to let him take over the Sangha order. And there were the other monks who were also there to listen, And the Buddha, of course, as I said, rebuked him, in a way scolded him also, because he was very arrogant, egoistic, greedy for power. He wanted certain things to be introduced, his own set of rules, which the Buddha, in all his wisdom, knew that they were not practical, like to be a vegetarian and then to live under the trees and things like that. Not really practical things. So the Buddha rejected his ideas. So for that, he was very, very angry. So now, what is going to happen now? So now we are going to go on to slide number 3. Well, look at the slide number 3. So as I said, Devata felt that he himself was as good as the Buddha, very egoistic. And he was jealous that people ignore him and did not honor him the way they honored the Buddha. The Buddha, of course, was the perfectly enlightened Sammasambuddho. So he had perfect wisdom, perfect compassion, knowledge, and all perfect enlightened being, So of course there were many followers, so many disciples, and also lay people would offer him the requisites, like robes, and then food, and then shelter. That there were people that even donated the land, donated, like the millionaire Anatta Pindaka donated the Jetavana monastery, So such was the high respect, to the Buddha. So he was jealous, and jealousy is not a good thing, isn't it? And then as the sages now, Buddha had already rebuked him or scolded him because he wanted to be the leader. So for that, he was very angry with the Buddha for insulting him, right? In front of the other monks also. But the Buddha wanted to teach him a lesson. And also, it was the truth actually, right? The Buddha was very truthful that he was not qualified. So, but then he couldn't take it. He couldn't take it. So then anger and enmity arose in him, and he was full of hateful feelings, revengeful feelings, and he was constantly coming up with schemes to kill the Buddha. There were actually altogether 3 incidents, if I remember, right, where Devadatta, with the help of the king Ajatasattu, because Ajatasattu thought very highly of him with his psychic powers. So on one occasion, he, got the hired killers. Those days, hired killers would use the bow and arrow and the sword to kill the Buddha. But of course, there is another story really. It was not successful. And there was another incident where, he knew that the Buddha was crossing a particular way, was going through a particular way, as the picture would show in the second picture. So he, at the top of a hill, so he pushed the big rock, He wanted to, like crush the Buddha and maybe kill him in that way. But actually, you could not kill a Buddha, actually. So, but the rock hit the tail, not the tail, hit the toe, right, of the Buddha, and blood came out. And for that, very, very heavy karma was committed. You'll see later, right? So that was that incident. We are not talking about that story, but there was the third incident where he used fierce, intoxicated elephant, Nalagiri, to try to kill the Buddha. That is the story we are going to tell in detail, and then also to reflect on the story. So he was planning, as I said, altogether 3 times. So one day, he decided to use this method of the elephant, the very fierce, mad elephant, mad in the sense that very easily angrified, right? So he planned, to kill the Buddha. And he knew that the Buddha was going to pass through a particular village on his alms rounds. You could see the third picture. The third picture gives you an idea. During the time of the Buddha, when he went on alms rounds, he would, lead the group of Sangha members to go and beg for the food in the alms bowl. That's a pindapat lah. It's a no pindapat. Now, this actually setting shows probably near the place of the king. Even the kings and the other noble people will come and do the pindapat, give food to the monks. I think until today also you have that practice of the Theravadan monks. Last time we had monks who used to come to Kelantan every Saturday. A few monks, 3 or 4, or sometimes 2, Achan Dhammamudo who passed away already, and then some other disciples. And many of us who go and give the food to practice the dana, which is a very good thing. So he was planning already. I knew that the Buddha would come along the area, and he had all those plans work out in his crooked mind, bad mind, evil mind, to use an elephant. Now, one account says that the elephant actually was under the ownership of the king Ajasattu, you see. So he sort of borrowed, or he told the king he wanted to, use the elephant. And the king very respectful of him because of his psychic powers, so let him have the elephant. So he led the elephant to a place. You see the story afterwards. I should not tell what is in the next slide. So you could see from the pictures here, right? How the story will flow, right? Now let us go on to slide number 4 now. Now, before the Buddha came into the village, Devatara got hold of the mad elephant Nalagiri. The name of the elephant was Nalagiri. Actually, according to one account, he got it from the king, right? And the name of the king was Nalagiri, yes. Now you could see the picture here, like this, all pictures are to show. So he led the elephant to a secluded place, right? Maybe hidden behind a wall, right? And then, you know what he did? He planned all those things. We knew that the Buddha with his monks would be coming on the alms round like this. You could see the third picture. And usually the Buddha would be the leader right in front. And then they go according to seniority. The most senior, of course, the Buddha would be the leader, you see, the head of the Sangha. Then after that, you would have Venerable Ananda. His attendant would be just near him. And then you have the other senior monks and so on. So this one gives you a fair idea of the situation. So he was planning, so he knew the route or the place that the Buddha would pass, which village, and all this. He got all the things planned out. His wicked mind. So his plan was to make use of the drunk elephant. Before that, you could see the second picture. He fed the elephant Nalagiri with a lot of alcohol, liquor, right? During that time, I don't know what they use, toddy or what, that could make an animal or a person drunk, intoxicated. So he was thinking like this. So once, this elephant was a fierce elephant, so once drunk already, you become like mad, right? So he would sort of cause the elephant to charge against the Buddha and his monks, right? He was having the intention of maybe the the Buddha and the monks would be crushed by the fierce elephant charging like that. So that was his intention. And during that time, as I told you, the Buddha was leading his group of monks, the Sangha members, into the village on arms round. So that until today, you have this practice of arms round among the monks in monasteries, like in Ajahn Brahm's monastery in Australia, they also would do, or Ajahn Sumido in England also they would do. And here you have, of course, Timor and other monasteries. But some town temples, some don't do that, right? They will have the devotees bringing the food to the temples, you see, right? So now let's see, did the elephant succeed in crushing, trampling down the Buddha or not? Actually, you know, result I mentioned that an enlightened Sama Sambuddho cannot be killed, can be wounded, but cannot be killed. That's a natural law. You die a natural death, maybe an old age and sickness physically. So, but this Devadatta, he wouldn't know all these things. He was so angry with the Buddha for scolding him and, making him look small, no face, something like that, you see. So then he planned this thing. He had the other two occasions where he couldn't succeed, right? So this was I don't know, in sequence, probably this might be the third incident. Anyway, there were 3 incidents according to the records in the scripture. So now let us move on to slide number 5 now. So when Devadatta saw from a distance that the Buddha was coming, the elephant had already been fed with the liquor already. So already mabuk already. Yeah, just pick this picture actually like doing a dance. I just want to show you that elephant was already mabuk, right? Like a mad animal already. And then he wanted to he wanted to force the elephant to run and charge towards the Buddha, right? So what did Devadatta do? He did something terrible. He used the sticks, or maybe even the sticks with pointed ends, or or spears, even in those days. He poked the elephant brutally, which means very, very cruel manner, causing great pain, Imagine, if you have a pointed sharp stick, and then he poke at the animal will feel the pain, isn't it? So he immediately used the sticks because the Buddha with the disciples coming along the way already. So he was not very far away, he could see. So he wanted the mad elephant or drunken elephant to charge towards the group of monks. We call it a retinue. So see, as I said, the drunken elephant was in great pain. He was totally enraged. Enraged means very, very angry already. Very angry. He was already mabuk. And then, sometimes when even people get intoxicated, they can lose their temper and say all nonsense things and even do nonsense things. They can even kill, That's why the fifth precept is to not take liquor or drugs. So he was totally enraged already. All right. So then he poked the elephant already, used the stick, beat the elephant, and then, he placed the elephant in an enclosure. There was a wall. So then he opened the gate, you can say, or the door, and released the elephant. Released the elephant, and he wanted the elephant to go in the direction of the Buddha. And his plan was to have the drunk mad elephant charge at the Buddha. Because there was this, maybe just a countryside road, that sort of thing, right? He wanted him to run along that way. Now, this second picture, just showing that the elephant cried because he was in pain. Just a cartoon animation. So, the third picture here, image, shows you that the elephant, yes, he was chased, and then he ran, charged along the way, and on the other side there, the Buddha and his group of monks were walking along, isn't it? Same. So, opposite direction. You can imagine like 2 cars are going to have a head-on collision. So the elephant was going in the direction of the monks, all the monks. So now let's go on to number 6. So of course, the elephant was already very mad or angry already, because he was in pain. And don't forget, he was also drunk. He was also drunk. So there was anger, there was hatred, and all the negative things. So that's why he started at full speed, charging, like a mad dog. Here in this case, like a mad elephant. He charged towards the Buddha, no. And then as he charged, the elephant raised his ears, the ears could come out, you could see, could come out. And then the tail also, wow, could shake, And the trunk, the trunk, the something like the nose, the trunk also could move, wow, violently, making a lot of noise, very loud sound. Of course, the elephant also could make sounds also. So with all those things, it was as if thunder was striking down from the skies, maybe there, I don't know, maybe there was really the sound of thunder or something unusual. It could be because the elephant was charging at the Buddha, right? So could something happen in the sky? There was a lot of sound. Anyway, the story says that it was as if thunder was striking down from the skies. So all the disciples, when they saw the elephant coming from a distance charging at them, they were terrified. They were so horrified and so scared, right? It was a terrible sight with this sound like the thunder, and then with the elephant making that terrible loud sound. So they were very scared. So they actually wanted to run away already, to run away. So but they were still hesitating. They wanted to run away to get away from the path of the mad, drunken elephant, right? But something happened. Ananda is the disciple, the very loyal monk disciple of the Buddha. So Ananda, when he saw at the distance the elephant charging, so he was afraid that the master would be harmed or injured, isn't it? Or would be even killed. So he quickly went in front, right? This one is the next slide. So I will I've jumped the gun because it's so exciting, the story. But anyway, up to this part, it will be just the disciples very scared, horrified. They wanted to run away. But then Ananda, when Ananda saw this, Ananda came in front. So I think they did not run away yet. Right? So now let's go on. This is what I just now mentioned already in this slide. Venerable Ananda, the Buddha's very faithful disciple, he was about the same age, I think, as the Buddha, and he was walking behind him, you see, right? He was his attendant, but the Buddha would be in front. So he quickly stepped forward and then went in front of the Buddha. Actually, he wanted to protect him. So if the elephant were to charge into the group of monks, he will be the one that would get it, and not the Buddha. So there was his really great love, compassion, the metta. He wanted to protect the master, basically. So this one just a very rough picture, but not very accurate, right? So the attendant disciple stepped in front of the Buddha, intending to protect him from the mad, drunk elephant charging at them, charging at the Buddha and the rest of the monks. But the Buddha was not the least afraid. He's the fully enlightened one, right? He was so composed. He was so calm. He was so really very serene. No anger or fear, nothing. He's a fully enlightened Buddha, no. So he remained composed at ease, and he told all the monks, also told Ananda, right? He actually asked Ananda later on, you see, asked Ananda to go back to his bag. So he told the monks, do not be frightened. Then he said, one who has attained Buddhahood, which means a healer, will not be harmed or killed by external violence. Right? So he was trying to give them the confidence that he would know how to deal with this fierce, drunken elephant, or a mad elephant. Something like becoming mad already, see? So this actually is the Buddha giving the message to the Ananda and the monks. So this is a very interesting. So I just pick this, try to search for the pictures to give you a fair idea. So I put in these two pictures in line with the story. So now, let us go on to slide number 8 now. Then he asked Ananda, he say, Ananda, you step aside and you go to the back of me. That means get back into the line, so the Buddha will still be in front. All right. So he was not the least afraid at all. He faced the charging elephant with calmness and composure. Very composed mind, sturdy mind, calm mind. You can say with equanimity, not shaken at all. Now that is the perfect mind already. Got the metta, got the compassion, got the mudita, got the sturdiness of the mind. The mind cannot be shaken. So that was this fully enlightened mind, right? So when the elephant came nearer at the time, right? So he looked with great compassion into the eyes of the elephant. The elephant was still at a certain distance, not that near yet. So he already looked into the eyes of the elephant, Nalagiri, and then he radiated. He was so very powerful and enlightened one. So from his mind, he sent out the great force of metta. The metta, which today also we are all practicing this metta bhavana, the meditation of loving kindness. I think those who have been attending Sunday school would know, right? Would know because they practice by following music, the chant of metta, right? And then also he radiated the compassion, which is in Pali karuna, for the poor elephant. So the Buddha was not at all angry or fearful. He had great love. He had great compassion for that poor elephant. The elephant is suffering also, right? In pain, and then also being intoxicated. The mind was deluded and all those things. And you see something very fantastic happen. The Buddha's metta and compassion, metta means loving kindness, right? Was so very strong, It's just like a force. I have encountered the strong metta of certain monks when we went to Burma or Myanmar and India. You could really feel, it's something like, invisible energy or rays, invisible energy overwhelming you. You feel very, very peaceful, very, very happy because the power of metta is fantastic. So the Buddha's metta and compassion, imagine, compared to us, his will be the highest already, 100% already. Was so strong and powerful that was, wow, the elephant also was overwhelmed by this, could feel the great force of metta from the Buddha. So then he slowed down already. He did not charge already. So there was a fantastic transformation that took place in the elephant Nalagiri. From a fierce charging elephant with much anger, hatred, enmity, and so on, he became very gentle already. Very, very kind. Actually, if you practice metta, you can verify that this is not just a fairy tale. I practiced metta since 1987, 88. And I could test out this power of metta. Like, when I used to go jogging, and then the dogs would bark and then they are coming after you. I used to get a stick. But then after having practiced metta for some time, I didn't use the stick. So when the dogs came, right, barking at me, so I just stood still and radiate the metta to them. So ours is very little compared to the Buddhas. But yet, the dogs somehow just stopped barking. And then they wagged their tails. Wow, I was very happy that what the Buddha taught was true, the power of metta. So the elephant was overwhelmed by this great force of love. Very, very touching. So he came near the Buddha already, you can say. He came very near. In fact, he paid respect already. All right. So now let's go on to the next slide, which is slide number 9. So when the elephant was just a short distance in front of the Buddha, quite near already lah. Then it stopped in its spot. And it was already very, very calm already, calm down already. So it was just a distance. So it did not like run or did not charge, you know. It trotted, you know. You can imagine trotting, the trotting horse or the trotting elephant, like one step at a time, you know, very, very like a slow march. Trotted towards the Buddha. You know. So when he came near the Buddha, he bowed his head to the Buddha, like in respect. This picture tries to show this, right? That the elephant, when he was quite near to the Buddha already, then he bowed to the Buddha in great respect. And just now he saw the picture also, the Buddha stroked the elephant's trunk and the head, right? He stroked something. And then, of course, here this picture shows that actually, the next thing was, the Buddha, when he could reach the elephant, he stroked the tongue, the trunk and the head, right? And then he spoke words of kindness, of metta and kind words. No, don't think the elephant doesn't know. No, sometimes when you speak very kind words to your dog, or your pet dog or pet cat, they seem to understand. You know, I remember I had one dog. Wow, so very faithful. No, she was called Shiba. I remember. When she died, I was really affected emotionally. After that, I did not want to have dogs really. Right? Wow, very, very intelligent. No? Sometimes she would just open the door, not lock, just with the handle. Open and then come in. My dog Shiba. No? So she'll be in the hall with us watching the TV. You know? And then sometimes I would say, Shiba, go out. You can understand. So he would go out. He would go to the door and then leap up and and then got hold of the handle, open the door and go out. So don't underestimate these animals. So the elephant are known for its memory and also very good intelligence. So the Buddha spoke to the elephant, comforted it with soft and kind words. Right? So as the Buddha spoke, the mad elephant now no longer mad. Actually, shouldn't use the word mad already. He was already calmed down already. So it drew nearer to him. And when he drew nearer to him, what he did, it knelt down. Right? Began to kneel down, and became tame, paying respect. You could see the second picture here. Now, not long ago also, we had videos or pictures showing, even in Bricksfield, there was this cat that would know how to pray to the Buddha image and would know how to bow down. And nowadays, you have a WhatsApp video. I've also seen some cats or dogs or other animals, they could also pray together with the human beings. So, 1拜2拜, the dog also could do it. So you can see animals, they have minds also, right? So these are very, very touching, right? So you see the Buddha with all the elephant was tame. The Buddha subdued the elephant already, right? Conquered Naligiri and became a different elephant, very calm, obedient, tame already. Not the fierce or, people say mad or crazy. No, not like that already, no. So, I have various pictures to show this. Actually, these are all pictures of paintings and so on that they depict, because those days no photography, right? So they would have to use pictures and paintings and so on. So from here you can see that the power of metta and also compassion. Metta is loving kindness. Compassion, which is karuna, they are divine qualities, right? The Brahma Viharas, they call it. Those qualities of the high gods like the Brahma Vihara. So Buddhists try to develop metta, karuna. Then you have two more. We are not doing that. One mudita and upekkha. So these two quite linked together. That's why the Chinese they say 慈悲, or even Hokkien say 主悲. 慈爱 is actually metta, metta. 慈悲 is actually karuna. So they join together in Hokkien and 主悲. That means with two things. Metta is loving kindness, right? You feel the love and kindness and the goodwill and benevolence for other beings. And then compassion means you can sort of feel the suffering of other beings and you want to do something to help them to have less suffering. That is compassion, more active part, you can say. These two are very close. So now we are going to go on to slide number 10. So the Buddha taught the elephant, because this elephant, nowadays we can also teach dogs certain things. So this one was during Buddha's time, the Buddha taught the elephant about taking refuge in the triple gem, right? It means in other words, he gave him some Dhamma, right? Now you could see here this picture very good, right? The elephant was full of respect, homage, and the Buddha, with the love, metta, and compassion, right? Stroke the head and then the trunk, all this, and then the Buddha spoke to the elephant, telling the elephant how important it is to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. You must bear in mind in the Buddhist teachings, all living beings have undergone rebirths. So the elephant also maybe could be at one time a human being. So he also has intelligence. Just as you see when dogs are being trained. So they have the intelligence. And dolphins also, some animals, mammals are very smart. So listen. He was so touched, Nalagiri. And the tears came out from the eyes. The tears of joy to listen to the Dhamma. Just as today, you find if you listen to very, very good Dhamma. Now, of course, the Buddha is not with us, but there are very cultivated monks. We have heard some cultivated monks in other countries. Even in Malaysia, you have a few. And when you hear very, very good, sublime Dhamma, you're so touched by your heart that sometimes tears can come out also. We have experienced this. So, Devadatta failed in his attempt to kill the Buddha with a mad drunk elephant. So his evil intention and deed all came to naught. Right? So he could not succeed. Actually, he didn't know that it was not possible to kill a Buddha. So just now I mentioned that Devadatta had also tried to kill the Buddha on 2 other occasions, I remember. One occasion was, I told you already, this one also another picture to show the other occasion where the bad one, the evil Devadatta, knowing that the Buddha would be passing a particular place where you have the hills, and then he planned to push a rock, a boulder, a large rock at the Buddha. I could see the picture here. He wanted to kill him with that rock, but you can't kill a Buddha. But you can hurt a Buddha. Hurt, that means wounded, injured. So the rock broke into splinters or smaller parts, and certain stones from the rock so hit the toes of the Buddha and blood came out. And that is considered a very, very evil action, bad karma, right? In fact, attempting to kill the Buddha and with the terrible intention and so on, that is what we call heavy karma. In Pali, we call it Garuka karma. Garuka karma, heavy karma, and the vipaka means the consequence later on, or even sometimes in this life itself, we will see the case of Devadatta, where the consequence would happen this life itself. The fruit of the evil deed happened. And that person who commits the heavy karma, killing a Buddha, wounding an Arahant, killing a mother, killing a father, and causing 2 groups of Sangha members to split, or a Sangha congregation to split, chuchok here and there, and cause people to quarrel among the Sangha group. That also is terrible. You split the Sangha, and that is considered Garuka Karma, and according to the scripture, for such an evil Garuka karma, you will be reborn in Avicii hell. A very, very low hell for a long period of time. And according to the story, that was what happened to Devadatta. So when Devadatta couldn't succeed, then he was getting old, and he lost his psychic powers already, no more psychic powers, because he had bad thoughts, evil intention, and bad deeds, so no more psychic power already. He was just like an ordinary person. So when he was getting old, he regretted his action and so on. But the evil deed had been done already. The karma would operate already. So then one day he was very, very sick, and he asked he still had some disciples to take him in the stretcher, like St. John's ambulance stretcher, to go and see the Buddha to ask for forgiveness. But the natural law is such that the evil karma, very, very serious one, he had no time to reach that place to see the Buddha also. At a particular place, according to the story, before reaching the monastery where Buddha was staying, he told the disciple to let him come down because he wanted to take a drink. I think there was a nearby pond or something like that. So according to the account, when he stepped out of the stretcher, then you could see the stretcher step up, then the earth split. The earth split, and there was fire coming from inside earth, like an earthquake, like earthquake like that. And that fire, everything dragged him to the interior of the earth. And actually, this is just the account to show you that he was dragged to Vichy hell, where he would suffer for a long period of time to pay for his bad karma. But it's not forever and ever. One day, after a very, very long time, he will still come out of the hell and to be reborn, because he had also done some good early part of the life, you see. So he could be reborn as a human being again also. But the price he had to pay was very, very great. So that's the story of Buddha and the fierce drunk elephant Nalagiri. Now, important thing is we have to discuss the Dhamma that we can learn from this story. The focus is on this story, but the important thing is there are many good Dhamma lessons we can learn, and we are going to go to the last two slides. We will spend more time on that. So, I hope you understand so far the story with the pictures. It will help you to understand. Now, let us go on to slide number 11 already. I've put in 3 sets of Dhamma lessons to learn and practice. Now, we find in Dhamma, you have to learn and understand the Dhamma teachings, the teachings of the Buddha. You have to learn it, understand, and then to think about the teachings, reflect, we call it reflect, and discuss with maybe monks or friends who know more about the Dhamma, who are good spiritual friends. And then important thing, must practice. Practice, like for example, Buddha talk about the importance of dana, of helping, of charity service. You cannot say, I know, dana very good, but you don't practice, useless. It's intellectual knowledge, isn't it? So you see, very important to put into practice. So now we are going to go over these 3 sets of Dhamma lessons in greater detail, so that you understand important, simple, very simple actually, because this presentation is for Sunday school and also maybe some secondary students. But then adults also can watch, because they can then teach the younger people, younger ones, the young ones or the children, the grandchildren. So now you see, I have taken this, this one is a Burmese painting. So, but I have made it, what do you call it, blur, so that you can see the words. If it's the original form, then the words will not be clear. So it's blur out already. They call it wash out. All right? So you can see very good. I quite like this picture in the sense that you can see the Buddha leading the retinue of monks, right? And then they go around alms bowl with the bowl to get food once a day in the morning, right? To get the food. And there was this Nalagiri, the elephant, coming already, charging in that village. So this picture shows it very quite clearly also, right? Now, let us now look at the first of the Dhamma lessons. So it's bilingual. The whole presentation has Chinese as well. Now, these very, very simple teachings, right? They do not be greedy. Do not crave for power. And this is really shown up in the story of Devadatta, all right, trying to kill the Buddha. He was greedy. Greedy for what? Greedy for power, right? He wanted to become the leader to succeed Buddha, right? And then you see he couldn't take the rebuke, which means the Buddha told him the truth. Actually, there was not ready. There were other people who actually, and yet Buddha did not ask. In the end, in the Parinibbana, which means that Buddha was about to pass away, I think Ananda or another monk did ask Buddha who will be the successor, who will take over his place. And the Buddha did not name any of the monks to succeed. You see his wisdom. He said, let your teacher be the Dhamma and the Vinaya, which means the Dhamma and the monastic rules. Right? The rules, all the Dhamma also in the monks or monastic code. But this one applies mostly to the Sangha members. Inside also, you have a lot of Dhamma there, apart from the rules for the monks, right? So your teacher should be the Dhamma. For us, lay people, the Dhamma, not one person, because that person may not be prepared and then will create trouble. That's what's happening in the world. This wants to be leader, that wants to be leader. But when you go back to what the Buddha said, the Dhamma, that his teachings, now follow the teachings, they will be your teacher. The Buddha said, he who sees the Dhamma sees me. He who sees me sees the Dhamma. That's what the Buddha said. So this Devadatta, he was very greedy. He craved for the power. They wanted that. And the ego was very big. You see, thinking very highly of himself. So the price, And in fact, that if you look at the mental departments, the root causes of all suffering and dukkha are these three mental poisons: greed, hatred, delusion. Greed, here, right? And then hatred. Hatred, the Buddha, the Devadatta also had the hatred, isn't it? Anger, ill will, because when he was not allowed to be the leader, then he was not happy already, angry, hatred, hated the Buddha. So that's terrible. And delusion is, what you call it, ignorant of the true things. Bodoh, you can say. Wu Ming, ignorant, not seeing the truth. Got the false belief, thinking that he is very great. Ego, also there, conceit, self-pride. All these come under delusion, not seeing the things as they truly are. Wrong views, deluded. So these are the mental poisons. So you see, this is a very important teaching. So you have to always follow this teaching. Don't be greedy in many aspects. And not only just craving for power, don't crave for other things. Later on, some married men also crave for other people's wives. Not you, you are students still very young, right? Don't crave for other people's property. And then after that, the department is so strong, you go and steal, go and cheat, or you scam people. Terrible, isn't it? All these will bring suffering, and their bad karma will cause you to suffer, maybe later part in the life or future lives. So remember this lesson, very, very important. You should actually practice the opposite of this. Instead of being greedy, you must be charitable, generous, always willing to help, always willing to donate to the needy ones. These will be a good positive things. And then not craving for other things. You're always very happy, contented, simple. You're contented already. You have the things necessary already. Don't want to have more and more and more. And then driven by this greed, then you cheat people, you con people, you scam people. So it's terrible, isn't it? So you find this a very, very important principle, not difficult to understand. But many people caught and trapped by Mara, the evil one. Actually, is a force of evil there, asking you, we're so stupid, go and cheat, you get more money, you scam people, you get money. That one is the Mara, the evil one, is a force. And if you fall under the trap, then sorry, you will live to regret. Now let us go on to the Next one. This is do not be jealous, hateful, and revengeful. Let's look at these three things. They are negative qualities, defilements, bad. Now you see the three mental poisons that cause dukkha. Dukkha translates as suffering. All people will have that. As long as you are not Arahant or Buddha, you will have dukkha of the mind. Body, nobody can escape. Even Arahant Buddhas also, they will have sickness and pain of the body. But mind is different. And mind is more important because mind is what will carry on. The body is going to die and rot. In the end, go back to the elements only. So the mind can be cultivated like Buddha. The mind is perfect already, enlightened. So he has got rid, together with Arahants also same thing, has got rid of the three what we call mental poisons. And the three mental poisons in Pali are called Lobha, Dosa, Moha. Lobha translates as greed. But then you find associated with Lobha will be all the other things. Greed covetousness unwholesome desire craving attaching all these are connected with Lobha. Wanting things which are not necessary one actually because you want more and more. Unwholesome desires and covetousness, you want other people's things, right? So that is the greed under Lobha, the whole umbrella of Lobha. Then the next one is what we are going to look at in these Dhamma lessons. Dosa. Now Malay has borrowed a lot from Sanskrit and Pali. Dosa in Malay, so you have the word dosa, right? And the word dosa in Malay means sin, isn't it? But here, the Pali word dosa would mean hatred. Would connect. So the mental department of dosa actually refers to hatred. But connected with the hatred, you have the other devils. Not really true devils, but they are the evil forces. Hatred, anger, enmity, ill will, aversion, and jealousy, revengeful feeling. All these are under the umbrella of dosa. And if we don't get rid of these, it's very dangerous. A person who is filled with hatred, filled with anger. Anger is also connected with those one because of anger, you go to hatefulness, isn't it? So if you don't get rid of these can cause you a lot of suffering. You have heard of people because of the terrible temper, right? The feeling of hatefulness, wanting revenge, and some die of heart attack. Right? So in Talentan, one of my friends told me about a case. And the first temper was so very bad. So what happened was, one day, he received a telephone call and they were talking business, the two parties. So this particular person, he was so angry speaking on the telephone that he got a stroke. And some will get heart attack. So you can see the danger of temper. So, jealousy. This story, I think, very clearly shown by Devadatta's jealousy, isn't it? He was jealous. He was jealous of Buddha. So popular, so respected. So many people who come and give him offerings when he got very little because of his character, isn't it? So jealousy is negative. Because when you have jealousy, then you lead to other things like revengeful feelings or wanting to cause hurt or harm or to spoil another person's name, all sorts of negative things. To be jealous. The opposite you should practice for jealousy is mudita. Mudita is sympathetic joy, translates as this, which means you are happy, you are very delighted when you hear of other people's success. Like your friends get more marks, then you don't feel jealous or what, but you feel happy for him. You have tried your best, so he also tried his best, so you get more marks, you feel happy for him, then you feel good, isn't it? You feel jealous, you might not be able to sleep and eat well. So we must practice the opposite of jealousy, that is sympathetic joy. To be joyful at others people's success. And to be hateful is terrible, right? So if you don't get rid of the hatred, the anger and so on, these can follow you from life to life. And not only that, they can propel you into the woeful stage, the suffering stage in the future rebirth, one of which, of course, the worst will be to be reborn in hell, Devadatta. Or you could be reborn as animals. Don't think animals' life, your pet dog, the one that you see just a small fraction of the lucky dogs or the lucky cats. What about the jungle there? You find animals eat animals. The bigger animals who eat the small animals. They're so scared. And the animal, when the animals eat, you think they give you a very easy death. They will bite you with their canine teeth, tear your fleshes, your flesh, tear your flesh. Wow, suffering, man, in the process of dying to be food for the bigger animals like lions, tigers, leopards, cheetahs, and so on. So to be born an animal is a suffering world, right? In the suffering world. So don't harbor this. You practice metta. That's opposite. You want to cut your dosa, which means your anger, your hatred, then you practice metta, loving kindness. Just like Buddha, perfect metta sending and see the power over people. Then revengeful feelings must not have. Right? To have revengeful feelings, that is cruel. When somebody does something bad to you, there must be a reason. Maybe you have done something not proper, you didn't realize it. Or maybe it could be in the past life you have done something to people like that, and now this is happening to you. So when you take revenge, everything, then you generate more bad karma. You must learn to forgive. Then you feel very happy, isn't it? I forgive the person. I don't. Those people who feel, who always feel revengeful, they take revenge against other people, very difficult to sleep. No peace of mind, right? The mind is not at ease. So you can see all these are negative things you must try to get rid of. And we will recommend the practice of metta, right? Now we go to the thing that is very important, and that is practice metta most ardently, with great enthusiasm and passion, because you know the Buddha taught it, and metta is a very powerful, sublime quality. They call it the positive emotion, right? Loving kindness. In fact, I've given talks on this a number of times, and then also practice the meditation on loving kindness, metta bhavana, which you have practiced. And actually, the Buddha talked about getting, you can get 11 benefits. I have no time, I've given in other places, other talks. 11 benefits you can get of metta, no, very powerful one. I've those days when I was introduced to Metta Bhavana maybe 1988 or 89. So for 30, 40 years, I've been practicing, and I can verify for myself that really true, right? Most of them you can test out. Some very high level one, my level is still very low. So then you can realize for yourself the benefits of Metta. And I have no time to tell you, but among the benefits, for example, you have no problem sleeping. You can sleep very easily. Some people take sleeping tablets. You don't have to. And then you don't have bad dreams, nightmares of ghosts or chasing you or monsters, nothing. Right? You have pleasant dreams, or sometimes you have no dreams in that sleep. And then also your face, very radiant, smooth, and very pleasant looking. No need to apply all the cosmetics and everything if you are a lady lah. But now men also use cosmetics and so on. So you have many benefits, and then people like you. Not only people like you, even the animals also like you. Even the spirits like you and try to protect you. Many benefits. I'm not. I don't have time to give you all. So you get many benefits. So that is this important thing. Third set of Dhamma lessons to learn and practice and realize for yourself. So remember these three things. I just don't remember the story only. I remember these three. Now we come to the last slide. Now we come to the end. And since the story all pertains to Buddha and Nalagiri, so I chose three other pictures to show you the power of metta of Buddha over the fierce drunk elephant. And here you can see also, very touching story, isn't it? So you have different pictures to show you. And I've animated a heart, a loving heart, as you see. So we make the aspiration, and it's very good, to always think about the aspiration, your wishes lah. When you always wish the thing very strongly, and then you have that strong feeling to put into practice. That is fantastic. So and with this aspiration, may our hearts be filled up with metta. Don't go and fill your hearts with all the anger, all the greed, right? All the ill will, but you fill it with metta, all right? I have metta for all beings. And then you wish all beings well. And then you make that wish, may all beings be free from dukkha. So you have these wishes, your mind become very powerful. You have this wish for all beings to be free from dukkha, right? But of course, this is just a wish. It's theoretical, ideal, but in practice, some beings will be free or less dukkha, but we make the general thing again. This is aspiration. So now I've spoken for more than 1 hour already. The last one is sadhu, may you be well and peaceful. That's my message. So before we say sadhu 3 times, I would like to take this opportunity to thank and say sadhu to all you boys and girls, students of the Buddhist Sunday School, all the Dhamma classes, and all the parents, grandparents, and teachers, and all who have been following this presentation. So thank you and sadhu to all of you, because you have taken your time to watch this presentation, to follow the Dhamma discussion. And also you have used energy, and you have also practiced the mindfulness concentration to follow. And we say sadhu to you, right? So now let us fold our palms together, and then together let us say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. To all of you who have been following this presentation, may you all be well, happy, peaceful, healthy, and may you always practice metta to all beings. Take care.